Tax rebates, everybody, will soon be deposited into the bank account of New Mexico taxpayers. After a 12-hour special session, lawmakers signed off on 2 proposals with bipartisan support. Now, the first will send about $700 million in rebates to help people that are facing gas costs and inflation. People who file their taxes individually will also get $500 total, in 2 payments, that is. It goes up to $1,000 total for couples and heads of households filers, and the first payment would come in June and the second in August. State officials have said this is a lot of tanks of gas, a lot of household services, and things that people in New Mexico need. Now, the bill will provide a lot of help for those people. There's also $20 million proposed for those with low income who don't pay taxes, but that's on a first come, first served basis. So it's really great to see that for those people living in the state of New Mexico, that people are getting their stimulus payments like they need. So there is also the 4th round of Social Security checks that will begin being sent out soon. Around 64 million Social Security beneficiaries witnessed an increase of 5.9% in their cost of living adjustment for 2022. The Social Security checks will be sent on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesdays according to birth dates. Due to the increase, retired workers will see a monthly rise from $1,500 to around $1,657 in their checks. The couple's benefits rose from $2,599 to $2,753 per month. The Senior Citizens League said in an interview with CNN, "We've received hundreds of emails from people concerned about making ends meet. The high cost of living adjustment for many just exacerbated their financial woes by bumping their income above program limits to qualify for Medicare savings and programs needed for extra help." Now, a petition started by the Senior Citizens League is also calling on Congress to pass a $1,400 check for seniors. Senior citizens have been hit hard by inflation, and problems with Social Security programs are well known, with funding shortfalls expected to cut benefits by as much as 25% by 2034, unless Congress acts to provide a fix. One possibility is raising the retirement age above 67, a move some financial experts say is a definite possibility. Changing the retirement age doesn't happen often, and the last time it happened was in 1983, when the full retirement age was raised to 67. Now, those changes are still being phased in today, and a survey from CNBC found that most people hope to collect retirement benefits at age 62, the earliest possible age to collect Social Security. The longer you wait to collect them, however, the more benefits you receive. And Congress might also raise the initial age when you can begin collecting Social Security retirement benefits from the current age of 62. The highest age for delaying benefits and earning benefit increases could be raised as well. Currently, the age is 70, and raising these ages might not have been as big as an impact on Americans' retirement plans as some critics think. That's because people are already working longer than they did a couple of decades ago. The deadline to claim $2,000 in new stimulus check money is soon approaching. Many people in the state of New Jersey are eligible to get an extra stimulus check. And there's also a very popular online petition demanding monthly federal government stimulus checks of $2,000 to be paid out to every single person who continues to draw more and more, and it continues to draw more and more signatures. Millions of people remain unemployed, while many others have seen their finances suffer. Even as the economy improves and unemployment decreases, millions of Americans believe the federal government should provide a 4th stimulus check or recurring monthly payment to support families and individuals. The petition explains that our nation is deeply struggling and the recovery hasn't reached many Americans. And the true unemployment rate for low-wage workers is estimated at over 20%, and many people face large debts from last year. So these are all reasons why stimulus checks have to be approved. Plus, a bipartisan group of senators have already met with White House officials, and they're calling on President Biden's agenda to be passed. A great number of Democratic and Republican lawmakers are raising concerns about the rising inflation and are trying to push through another massive crisis relief bill. However, buddy, some lawmakers are thinking about changing the legislation so the next stimulus checks go out to a more targeted group of people. For example, Susan Collins, a Maine Republican, told Politico, "I was the first to raise the issue, but there seemed to be a lot of agreement that those payments need to be more targeted." So folks, do you believe the stimulus checks have to be more targeted? Tell me in the comments. So action is finally being taken by the president and many members in Congress. Get ready for 4th stimulus checks, everybody, because we have some developing news that a 4th stimulus payment might come out sooner than expected. So it was just announced that lawmakers and the Alaska House of Representatives have just proposed a plan to pay eligible people an additional around $1,300 on top of the annual permanent fund dividend. So everybody, according to lawmakers, a one-time $1,300 energy relief check to all Alaskans would really help them during this time. And this proposal comes from a bipartisan majority coalition and is set to be part of a budget debates. Representative Bryce Edgman said that the roughly $900 million in funding for the rebate would come from the state's general fund. And so, in an official statement, the Energy Relief Check would use some of the state's unexpectedly high revenue this year to pay residents so they can offset rising fuel costs, record inflation, and a recovery from the crisis. So, this is not the first time lawmakers have proposed payments to Alaskans, on top of the permanent fund dividend. Back in 2008, the legislature approved $1,200 in resource rebate. That was checks for Alaska residents as a way for the state to share some of its multi-billion-dollar revenue. And everybody, let's not forget about this. There are huge developments being made on President Biden's agenda. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters that President Biden will absolutely mention inflation. Like I said, inflation has hit a 40-year high, and the spike in consumer goods is contributing to a gloomy national mood in Biden's slumping approval rating. So President Biden will also attempt to use the Tuesday address to use his speeches to revive efforts to pass his roughly $2 trillion Build Back Better Act. According to a fact sheet from the Biden administration,
by giving American middle class more opportunities and more financial security. However, oil companies are using the war between Russia and Ukraine as a pretext to engage in unlawful price gouging to rob American people of their hard-earned dollars. I applaud my colleagues for taking the necessary steps to address this concern by facilitating oversight hearings to maintain the integrity of the oil industry and holding these companies accountable for their unconscionable practices. Hopefully, these testimonies and hearings will lead to changes, and we can truly enjoy all the success of our current administration and keep dollars in the pockets of the American people. Mr. Chair, I yield back.
I heard my Republican colleagues and some corporate Democrats blame inflation on runaway government spending. In fact, one of my colleagues in the Democratic caucus has even suggested that we need to take a strategic pause when it comes to making urgent federal investments in child care, health care, education, affordable housing, paid family and medical leave, and home health care. Policies that would substantially improve the lives of the American people. Well, you know what I believe, Mr. President? I believe that maybe, just maybe, the time has come to take a strategic pause when it comes to providing tens of billions of dollars in corporate welfare to some of the most profitable corporations and wealthiest people on this planet. And Mr. President, the American people are becoming increasingly sick and tired of corporations making